Hey everybody, it's Matt from the house, and this video we're going to talk to you a little bit about the channel and the stance and how easy it is to adjust this thing. Let's check this out. Alright, so the channel on the Burton boards, it's not there so you have to buy Burton bindings. It's actually more durable, so all those myths are out the window. But one of the things that's really, really cool about this channel system is how much adjustability you get in your stance. Whether it's an EST binding or a regular binding, it's actually really, really easy to mess with your stance. And a big misconception is that you have a stance and that's your stance no matter what. You can mess around with it and you can move it around depending on where you're riding, what you're riding, and what board you're riding. So I'm here with Jayson from Burton, and I'm here with Dave Downing, and this guy's probably got more days than everybody watching this video combined, and he's gonna give us a little run through on why that stance and moving that stance around can be important.
Yeah, the channel is pretty cool. I mean, you were saying, you know, well, it's not just ours, and it came from windsurfing. Back in the 80s, you know, the windsurfers had a channel, and then Rev Snowboards had a channel. And then, you know, Forum Snowboards had a channel, a double channel. Jeremy Jones was riding for Forum at the time, then he came to Burton, and we started making a board with a channel. There's no patent on it. We don't have a patent on a channel board or anything like that. But it's really the best way, I think, to mount a binding on a snowboard. You know, it's stronger, it lets the board flex really well, but like you're talking about with stance, it's really, really easy to just change your stance, you know, like your width of your stance, your angles, your toeward, heelward, all of those you can just get with the channel. You don't have to move it an inch or a half inch, like you can get an eighth of an inch or whatever. So I know a lot of kids that they'll just put the screws on, wiggle their feet around until it feels good, and just lock it down, bolt it down, you know, which is pretty cool. So changing your stance is a really big thing in snowboarding. You know, with surfing or skateboarding, you're able to move your feet around and do different things with your feet, but in snowboarding, once you mount your board, you're kind of set. So, you know, your stance is really personal to you. Like, I know, Jayson, you might ride a totally different stance than I do. You might ride a different stance, or everybody rides a different stance. To your body weight, how you ride, what you do, whether you like a duck stance like that, you know, or your front foot angle, but your back foot straight, or like I ride a positive 3 on my back foot. All those little minute details are really important to how you ride. The key factor is, you know, use a screwdriver, you know, take a screwdriver and use it. Don't be afraid of a screwdriver. A lot of people just mount their board and never change it, you know, but I think changing your stance is a really big thing to get the riding stance for yourself, you know, correct?
And it really helps you like understand how the board rides too. So, you know, having a positive angle on a cambered board and maybe a little narrower stance, you know, will allow you to flex the middle of that board to get it to turn differently. And you're not going to know that unless you change it.
Right.
And figure it out.
Just a little bit, change it a little bit, you know? Like, you don't have to go like negative 15 to positive 15 or whatever in your back foot, but just changing it a little bit really makes a huge difference, you know? Yeah, for sure.
That was a big thing I did too, is I used to ride a big duck stance. And one thing that I found out too is just for my knees. If you stand, I always have people stand with a big duck stance and then bend your knees and you'll feel pressure on the inside of your knees. And then if you actually take that exact same stance, but just turn your back foot. So even going to straight, you know, forward a little bit, again, when you bend your knees, you actually take that pressure because your knees are bending naturally forward. I got a lot of guys that do come in and they're like, I got so much, you know, pressure on my knees and my knees get sore and tired. And I always tell them, take a few days, don't do it all at once like you were saying, and just back that,
a little bit,
back off just a little bit, and then the next day move it a little bit, and just gradually work your way up to a little bit of a, you know, closer to a forward stance
or whatever.
And it actually can help a lot with that, you know, with your knees. Also too, with carving, when you get into a little bit more free ride oriented boards, you're not riding switch a lot. When you've got your bindings both forward, you can actually utilize the inside and the outside of your feet to push pressure towards your heel side edge. There's definitely a lot of different advantages of riding forward. But then riding duck, you can actually get a lot of
there's
advantages
a lot
there
of
too.
benefits to duck too. So it's all personal preference. I think that's the key point, you know, and the channel just allows you to just do whatever you want, you know, whatever's comfortable for you. Or, you know, if you're riding on a powder day, you could just move both feet back, you know, an inch or two to have a longer nose.
Yeah,
you know, or if it's a hard pack day, you want to be more centered or whatever. You can just do anything with the channel. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, like if you decide that 21 and 5/16 inch stance is the one for you, but you get a bunch of snow, you can take that same stance, move it back, you know, move it back for park.
Yeah, and that's another thing I tell people is once you do ride and you're like, this stance feels so perfect, remember it, like measure the width, look at the angle, know that you ride 18. Like I know I ride 18 on my front foot and +3 on my back foot. I ride 23 inches. Every time I take my bindings off and I put it on a new board, I know exactly what I'm riding and what's comfortable for me. So remember that stance.
Yeah, put it in your notes in your phone so you don't forget, especially over the summer. You just, we're all, you know, all of a sudden you're like, oh, snowboarding.
For sure.
Oh yeah, we do that, don't we?
Oh, and also, I mean, kind of back to the, you know, the positive back angle. I mean, like, don't let that just be pigeonholed as like a carving thing either.
Yep.
I ride backwards all the time. I mean,
Terry
Mark
Morris,
he rides positive.
They all ride positive.
Too, so, you know, you don't have to ride duck stance to ride backwards.
Yeah.
That's a misconception for sure.
Yeah, but just go out, try the things out. And the nice thing is too, is like you can get those little screwdrivers. We've got them for sale. The bullet tools, the EST tools from Burton, and a few other ones. We'll leave a link in the description too, so you can kind of check those out. But with this system too, especially with the EST, you can literally adjust your binding without taking your foot out of the binding. You can literally loosen up the 2 screws on the outside, slide your foot, and then tighten them down. So, you know, making it even easier. You know, but like these guys were saying too, you get micro adjustments. I remember a long time ago, I can't remember what board it was, but I remember it was like, this is my stance, and I actually couldn't get my stance on the board because it was limited by the inserts. And that was a time when it was a 4x4 instead of a 4x2, but it was really, really hard to actually get the stance I wanted to. And with this, it's almost impossible to not get the stance you want to. Definitely, you know, like I said, a great thing to do. Play with your stance, you know, and it's not saying that you have to do something different, but it can't hurt to try it out and try it out a little bit at a time. The only angles you're not gonna ride that are not gonna help you is pigeon toed. That's not gonna help anything unless your legs just happen to be shaped like that, then I guess go for it. But if you've got any questions beyond what we talked about in the video, leave some comments down below. We're on there every single day trying to answer your questions. You know, we definitely wanna make sure we get you into some rad gear, but we wanna make sure that you're able to use it properly too and use it to the best of your advantage for you and your riding style. Like, subscribe, definitely get that notification bell on too so you can find out when all the new videos drop. And yeah, whether you're riding a duck stance, you're riding straight, you're riding forward, just get out and ride, because any day of riding is a good day of riding.